Hello, friends, and good evening. It's Lisa Maynard, and it's Kit Crush Wednesday. And hello, everyone, and thanks for joining me tonight. Kit Crush Wednesday. I was gone last week. I was at a wedding in Houston, and so we are going to get caught up this week on the October, even though it's November. We're going to get caught up on the October paper pumpkin, and it's called Nests of Nature. So it's very, very cool, and so I can't wait to show it to you, but I'm going to wait for a couple minutes and make sure that everyone can hop on and find me here. So if you hop on, let me know, give me a thumbs up, tell me hi, let me know in the comments that you're here. I always enjoy chatting with you when you join. Next week, we'll be catching up on the November paper pumpkin, and you're going to love it because it has stockings and all these cool things. But this week, we're going to do the Nests of Nature. It's the October paper pumpkin, and I was late getting it because there was a little snafu in the shipping. But so without further ado, we're going to, let me make sure that this, I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to make sure that this is the correct way here because it was flipped on me. So I'm just going to take a second. And now that that's right, and I'm going to flip the camera around now because that's what happens when we go live. Sometimes they don't always go the right way. So here are the cards tonight, friends. I love these cards. They're a trifold card. They have two designs, super, super easy to make. And what great cards for Christmas. So we're going to make these two cards tonight. One is Merry Christmas with the cardinal and the green foil. So very pretty. And then look at the envelopes. It's got the foil around it and even the pine cone or the pine needles and the berries on the envelope. These envelopes are just absolutely gorgeous. So this card, and then we have another one, Joyful Thoughts to the Season, with some chickadees, and again, some of the green foil there, an amazing envelope. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and set these aside, and I'm going to bring in the box so we can see what's in our kit. And then we're going to get started. So if you haven't subscribed to Paper Pumpkin, you absolutely should, because these are great, great kits. They're all inclusive, and everything you need to make these cards is included. So let's take a look. This month, we have some red ribbon that we're going to use on there. We have some tear and tape that's a little bit wider that we're going to use with the ribbon. We have our stamps, which are very pretty. We've got a cardinal here and some great sayings. Our Stampin' Dimensionals, as always, we like to have those. We're going to need those. Our stamp spot, I'm sorry, our stamp spot is Shaded Spruce. I had that out already, so I didn't have that in there. Then we have our instructions that are coming super, super handy. So that's great. Hi, Vanita. Thanks for joining. And then we have our insert, and it lists all the stamps that are come in our kit. Then we've got our die cut images and our sentiment pieces that we're going to use, and they're both the same. And then we've got our card bases, and they're trifold cards. And then the envelopes are right underneath here somewhere. There's the envelopes. Super, super pretty. So let's go ahead. I'm going to stick all this back in here. I'm going to keep those out because I don't think I need these. So I'm going to close that up and set that over here. And I'm going to bring in our first card. Now, as always, I've prepped some of this ahead of time so that we don't have to waste some time doing that. So, and I've already stamped the Merry Christmas, but we're going to stamp on the card base. Now, this comes like so. So part of it's already folded and part of it isn't. And we're not going to fold that right at the moment. We're going to leave that because we're going to do some stamping on it. But I'm going to go ahead and bring in my little sheet of grid paper. I could stamp on my glass mat, but I would prefer to just kind of keep that a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to move that out of the way, that stuff out of the way. And then this is going to be a landscape card. So I'm going to do it like so. And I'm going to bring in my stamping spot. And I already have my pine bough already put on a block. Now with the paper pumpkins, the first time you order paper pumpkin, you're going to get that block. After that, you're going to keep that block because then you just reuse it. With the kits, if it's a stamping kit, you'll get a block every time. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to load up I'm going to ink up my stamp with the green shaded spruce. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to stamp this image on this part of the card. Now, when you take this out of the kit, there's a green square that you just pop out of there. So now let's go ahead and we're going to stamp, and we're going to be stamping off, which is why I put the grid paper under there, because we're going to stamp this pine cone image 3 times. And since I'm going to do that, I wanted to have my grid paper under there so I'm not stamping on my glass mat, just because I don't want to get it, super inky and then set my hand in it. And we're going to stamp one more time right about right there, just like so. Now I'm going to lift that up so you can see. It's a very nice image, and it stamps all the design on there. So it's a great stamp. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this around, and we're going to stamp 3 more pine boughs at the top here. And I'm going to stamp this one I'm going to stamp it down a little bit, right about there, like that. And then I'm going to stamp this one here, and it may stamp on the back side of your card a little bit, and that's okay. If it does go over a little bit, that's okay. It's not a big deal at all, because you can totally have that image on the back of your card and it doesn't matter at all. And then I'm going to stamp one more time right about in here, just like so, just like that. So now we're done with the stamping. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on my stamp spot because I don't want to get my hands in that. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in my bone folder, and we're going to bend this over like that. And I'm using my bone folder. I'm going to just burnish that edge just nicely so that it lays down fairly flat for me on this one. I didn't do that on the first card. I put it together without doing that, and it doesn't lay as flat. So I like the fact that this lays a little bit flatter. So there we have that. Let's go ahead and set that aside for a moment. I'm going to bring in my ribbon and my stamp sentiment. Now, you'll stamp this sentiment when you get this kit. So I've already stamped the Merry Christmas because we didn't need to do a lot of stamping. And with that tear and tape, I adhered it to the back of the ribbon. It's just wide enough to adhere to the back of the ribbon. So with my pick tool, I'm going to go ahead and lift that tape off of there. And I apologize. I made these before we went out of town for Houston. And so it's been a little bit since I've put these cards together. So you're going to have to bear with me for a little bit while I remember again how these go together. Now I'm going to just eyeball this to set my ribbon on there. And so it's fairly straight. I like that. I like how that looks. So I'm just going to give it a nice little press. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to put 3 of my Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of that, because that's going to pop up on my card. So just like so. And we're going to go ahead and put this in here because we're going to then put our cardinal, we're going to place that around this sentiment. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to put this Merry Christmas. I'm going to put it up kind of in the top left-hand corner, if you will, of that middle of the middle part of that card with the really pretty foil. So there we have that. Now I've already put the Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this layering piece, and I put them far to the, if it's this way, I put them far to the left and far to the right. And the reason I did that is because they need to go on this part. You don't want it to be adhered to the blue with the foil, because if you don't have it there, if you don't have it adhere, you're not going to be able to open your card. So let's go ahead and put this on. I'm going to take those off, and I'm going to kind of figure out where I want this first before I really adhere it down. And I think that looks like a good spot, just like so. And then my cardinal has 2 Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of it, just like that. I'm going to take the backings off of those, and then I'm going to place my cardinal so he's kind of in the middle of this bow, and just like so. And there we have our card. Merry Christmas. Isn't that just gorgeous? I just love these cards. And like I said, the envelopes are just stunning. So there you have your trifold card with this one layer, and then you still have the Merry Christmas and lots of room to write in the middle of it. So there we have that one. Turned out beautiful. I'm going to set that aside, and let's go ahead and bring in our second card here. And again, I've prepped most of my pieces. On this one, I didn't punch out the center because I wanted to just obviously show you they come like this, and then you can do this already kind of perforated there, so you just pull that out. Now you could use this for a different card, so don't throw these away, or the square part of that one. You could use these for a different card. You could use it as a stencil for something. Lots of different things you could do with that. So we're going to go ahead and set that aside. And again, I'm going to fold this over just like so. And I'm going to use my bone folder, and I'm going to burnish that so it lays nice and flat. And again on the back, just because it'll lay a little bit nicer, and just like so. And then we're going to pop that over. I've already, again, stamped the sentiment, joyful thoughts to you this season. Super easy to do. You all know how to do that. So I wasn't going to waste a bunch of time doing that. Now, again, we have the ribbon, and I didn't put the tear and tape on this one because, oh man, nope, I didn't. So I want to show you how I just put the tear and tape on that. It's super easy to do, but just in case you were wondering, we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to take some of this and just take it with my finger, and we're going to, let's turn this one over. I think I want this one. I do want that to go like that. So I'm going to just put this, and you don't need much. Now it's tear and tape, which means you can tear it, but I like to cut it. So I'm going to grab my little paper snips here, and I'm just going to come in and just snip that right off there. And you don't need, again, friends, you don't need much. That's way more than enough. That's plenty of tear and tape for that. So we're going to come in and just take the backing off of this. If I can grab that. Yep, just like that. And so you can see the adhesive. I'm going to set this down on my grid paper so that it lines up, and bring in my sentiment. I'm just going to eyeball this. Now the ribbon was already pre-cut, so you don't have to do any measuring, any cutting, anything. You just adhere that tape to that, and there you have your layer. Perfect. We're going to flip that over, and like I did before, we're going to put 3 Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this, because I just like to make sure that my sentiments and the things with the Stampin' Dimensionals pop up nicely. And so I'm also going to adhere this first so that I've kind of get an idea of where I want my boughs and my branches to go. So this is going to come in here, and we want it to be about in the top third of this. And let's see, that looks pretty good, right like that. Let me see if I hold that up. That's pretty straight. That looks pretty good. So we're going to do that. And then again, we have multiple layers here, but we're going to put this layer on first. This goes up into the top left corner. And again, I put the Stampin' Dimensionals on those ends so it'll adhere to this part of the card and not on the inside part. So let's go ahead and take the backings off of those. Now you want to make sure that these, that when you adhere these, you adhere them in so at least they'll fit in your card. So you want to make sure they'll fit in your envelope, in your envelope. And that looks pretty good, just like that. And now we're going to come in with this layer, and I did the same thing, far to the left and far to the right, and take those backings off. This is such a super easy kit. These are super easy cards to make, but beautiful cards, fun cards. And I think anyone that would get these would be just so happy. So happy. I'm going to move that in again, just a little bit. I don't want that. I want that just about just like so, and make sure that I'm not, make sure I also look on the inside to make sure my Stampin' Dimensionals aren't showing through the inside of the card. And then we're going to come in with our last little chickadee here. He just has one little Stampin' Dimensional, and he's going to layer up right like so. And he's going to let that other one show through there. So there we have it, friends. Our second card, Joyful Thoughts Due the Season. Look how beautiful that is. So much room to write your greetings. And I love these cards. Bring these back in here. And these envelopes are just stunning. Who wouldn't want to receive those cards and those envelopes? Just absolutely beautiful. So with that, let me turn this around and we're going to wrap it up for the night. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I was gone last week, but I'm back again. I will be live next week. It even is the night before Thanksgiving, but I'll be here with that November paper pumpkin kit, and it has stockings in it. I don't remember the name of it, but it's super cool. And those are the dogs. I can't wait to show it to you. So thank you all so much for joining in. Stay tuned. As always, I'll be back on Wednesday, and please share with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed to my email, please do that. And I just, again, appreciate all of you so much for always watching and tuning in. So without any further ado, I'm going to wish you a great evening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.